Hi, I'm Angie Callahan. Welcome to School Talk Monthly. In this program, we'll have a conversation with Dr. Ben Kaiser, Superintendent of Gloucester County Public Schools. And we'll find out who our schools of the month are. With me is Dr. Ben Kaiser. He is Superintendent of Schools for Gloucester County. Welcome, Dr. Kaiser.
Good morning.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Gloucester, some of the demographics, where it's located, and a little bit about your schools.
Gloucester County, oftentimes when I tell individuals where I live and where I work, they'll say Gloucester, is that Gloucester, is that Gloucester, is that, where is Gloucester? And so, but Gloucester is a beautiful community. It's a rural community just north of Yorktown and the York River. Even though it's still considered rural, the northern part of the county is primarily agriculture, open farmland. But from the courthouse south, and Gloucester Courthouse is located just right in the middle of the county, it's heavy residential and retail commercial, but Gloucester is surrounded by water on three sides. We have the York River, the Chesapeake Bay, the Mobjack Bay.
So as far as schools, how many schools do you have total?
We have 9 schools and a regional alternative program that is held at night. But I have 6 elementary schools configured K-5, 2 middle schools, 6-8, and 1 high school, grades 9 through 12. Our high school has actually our enrollment this year is just over 2,000 children.
It's a large high school.
It's a large high school for a rural county, and on the Middle Peninsula, it's the largest high school. In the near future, I think the community would love for us to build a second high school, and we will at some point. But the total enrollment is about 5,900 children.
So as a school system, you obviously have priorities, things you're working on. What are some of the priorities in Gloucester right now?
Well, probably what I just mentioned is our major priority, and that's the children we serve every day. And we certainly are under federal, state, and local benchmarks and requirements that we need to meet, and we're focused on that. But certainly, whatever we do and expenditures that we authorize and time that we spend, we need to make that connection to how it's going to benefit those children. And we try to move all of our conversations in that direction. And so, excuse me, every year as we look at our state assessment data, and throughout the year when we look at our quarter data, quarter benchmark assessments, we make judgments as to whether we're accomplishing that mission. And so our priority is to have all of our children succeed, certainly meet the state and federal benchmarks, but certainly surpass that. We've had recently conversations. We actually instituted a committee, if you will, that we're calling our visionary think tank. And so since I came into Gloucester in 2003, my school board has said several times, okay, the standards of learning are the minimum standards. Now what's beyond the minimum? And so we now have some of the brightest educators in Gloucester coming together on a regular basis, and we're putting together what we're calling a visionary plan. And we're trying to look beyond our current expectations and our current requirements. And we're asking the question, what will our children need to know and be able to do in 10, 15, 20 years? And if that's the case, what are we going to do in order to prepare them?
Right. That's a challenge. I was going to ask you about what some of your challenges are. So just the whole challenge of how do you address the standards while at the same time prepare the students for the kind of future that they're going to be soon moving into?
I would agree. Our challenge certainly is reaching that 100% expectation. And if you look at Gloucester's test data generally with our overall population, and if you go back, at least from my historical perspective of the 5 years plus that I've been there, you'll see a gradual trend upward with the student performance in our math, reading, and our core areas. And so from the general population perspective, I would say that we are making progress and we're continuing to make progress. When you drill down a bit into that general population and you look at your subgroups, you look at your minority children, you look at your children with learning disabilities, and you evaluate the progress that you've made with those populations, we find areas that need improvement. And so generally, we will have 80 to 95% of our students in the general population that will succeed. However, as a parent, I don't want my child to be in the 10 to 20% that might not be succeeding.
Right.
And so we're constantly focusing on ways to intervene and ways to accommodate children who may require more time, require the delivery of instruction in a different manner, who may require additional resources or additional staffing. And so that's a challenge. It's a focus of ours. And at the same time, as some of my staff members around me continually remind me, that as we're focusing on what we reference as our struggling learners, we don't want to forget those children who are excelling and are certainly requiring more than maybe we might provide on a typical day, if you will. And so we're looking for ways to enrich the students who are more capable and give them that opportunity to succeed and reach their aspirations beyond high school.
So while you're working with those that 10 to 20% that need the extra help, that need the extra support, you also have to focus some attention as well on those that are on the other end of the spectrum and need more challenges.
Absolutely. And we have a variety of programs that I'm very proud of, and I would compare what we offer for our more capable children, oftentimes referred to as our gifted children. I would compare our programs and services with any other district in the state and say that we do quite well for a rural school division. As a matter of fact, when I looked at Gloucester for the first time, I was very impressed with the plethora of programs and services for all children, especially as they move into the high school years. Gloucester County, with its geographic location, allows us to participate with programs and districts on this side of the York River, if you will, and we also benefit from programs and services on the other side of the York River. And so our location is actually advantageous to us.
Sure.
But our students are available, or they have the opportunity to consider two governor school programs that are recognized in the state of Virginia as two of the better ones. We have the Chesapeake Bay Governor School housed at Rappahannock Community College. Mm-hmm. We also have the Governor School housed at New Horizons Technical Center, Educational Center. And so one Governor School is focused on environmental science, one is focused on math and engineering, and so our children have those opportunities. We also, our children also have the opportunity to choose two different career technical extensions with what we offer at the high school. And so we have two regional programs that give children the chance to consider programs that we may not offer at Gloucester High School and can pursue those avenues. Plus, if you look at Gloucester High School, when you serve 2,000 students, you have to have a wide range of offerings and experiences, and we do that from career tech to the fine arts to the academic core, and then all of our extracurricular activities. I can't begin to even tell you what they are, but
yeah.
I have a daughter who is a senior at Gloucester High School this year, and she enrolled as a 7th grader in Gloucester County. And as a parent, I've been very pleased with the experiences that she's had afforded her. And so as a superintendent, you know, I'm very pleased with what we offer our 6,000 other children. So.
That's great, having one of your own in the system, so you can keep track of from inside the classrooms what's going on.
Sometimes that's good, and sometimes it's a disadvantage for her, she will say.
I would think, yeah, she might.
But I told her the other night, she was referencing a situation that occurred, and I said, well, Lauren, I said, that's a cross that you have to bear right now.
Just the way it is, just the way it is. Well, what would you say is, as you've been superintendent, what would you point to as one of the great successes, you think?
Well, I would cite back the progress that we've made with our students on our academic core benchmarks. And When I assumed the role of superintendent in 2003, Gloucester County, at that time, I inherited a very good school district, and students were doing very well, again, if you looked at the general population. And I can say after 5 years, we've instituted programs and services that have enhanced the student performance in those core areas, and I am pleased that our general trend for student performance is on the upward incline. And so from that, that's certainly a success. Now, I attribute many things to that success, and eventually we're going to get to the point that we are having the success with all children. But certainly the success, and actually I attribute much of the success with students to our personnel, our teaching and certificated personnel, as well as our support personnel. I inherited a very capable staff, a tenured staff in Gloucester County, and teachers who not only love the county and love that geographic region, but they truly have a passion for the students. And so part of the mantra that we have is, in terms of serving these students, we want to hire the best teachers we can, but at the same time, we want the best teachers to become better. And so our teachers have responded to opportunities that we've given them in professional development. We've offered financial incentives as well as convenience incentives, if you will, for them to pursue master's degrees, for them to pursue national board certification, for them to pick up additional content courses that will enable them to do a better job in the classroom. We have a wide range of local professional development opportunities that we have time built into our school calendar for teachers to participate. And so professional growth is very important to us, and we see that as the avenue in order to improve student learning. I've often said that with students, I could place students in the best facility, I could give them the most current technology, I could put as many materials in front of them as they can accommodate, but if I don't have that right adult, delivering the instruction, engaging children, exciting children, and interacting with them on a daily basis in an appropriate manner, then all of these other resources have been for naught. And so certainly we place teachers as a priority, and we place the improvement of teachers as a priority. And beyond that, we focus on time. We've spent a lot of effort looking at how we structure our school day and serving students. And we've implemented a very creative schedule in our elementary schools that allow for small groups in math and reading, and the time for the reinforcement and the enrichment throughout the day. And as I said early on in the interview, whether it's $1,000 here or $100,000 there, we try to relate those expenditures back to how they're benefiting children. And so
you're investing in your teachers. That I heard that loud and clear, that you make an investment in your teachers that ultimately affects the students.
Absolutely. We have to do that.
That's key. That's key. What about your community? Do you have a good community involvement with the school system?
We have a terrific community and a solid support base with our parents. We utilize our parents in a variety of ways to support their children's education. But first and foremost, we encourage parents to just place education at the top of their list of priorities. And many of our parents, most of our parents do that, from insisting on their children attending school every day, insisting on their children staying focused on what's required of them as part of their classwork, insisting on the communication that needs to be in place between the teachers and the parents, and otherwise just reinforcing what we're trying to do. As I often say, we have students for about 6 hours and parents have the children for about 18 hours.
Right.
And so it's where we succeed the most is when we have that partnership of reinforcement and support in what both of us are trying to do. Now, beyond that, we have a tremendous number of adults and parents who come into our schools, and they serve as tutors, they serve as presenters, they They serve as fundraisers. We have a very active PTA in all of our schools, a very active PTA council. All of our extracurricular and co-curricular activities require parents to be a part of that. And oftentimes, unless you know the staff member, you won't be able to delineate the staff from the parents.
Right.
And they're just engaged with what we do in that regard. Our business community is very supportive of our educational system, and so they support us in a variety of ways, financially, personnel-wise, the opportunity for students to gain life experiences through their businesses. We have job shadowing opportunities, and so again, the community invests quite a bit of money in public education, and our job is to give them a good product and to ensure that their children and their grandchildren will have the opportunities that will allow them to be successful. And so as long as we're able to do that, that support system will be in place. And if we're unable to produce, if we have difficulty, then we might see that change, but I don't expect that will happen anytime soon.
I don't expect that either under your leadership. Well, one thing you said, you want to create, you want to give them a good product at the end of the student being under your leadership there at Gloucester Schools. Where are your students going as far as college or future job certifications? What about some of your graduates? Where are they going?
Actually, a while back I did look at the list of colleges and post-secondary opportunities that our students have chosen. And I doubt if you could name a Division I, Division II, or Division III school in Virginia that is currently not serving one of Gloucester's graduates. I won't say that there's one particular school that is able to attract the most graduates, but in Virginia, we're fortunate to have a very high-quality post-secondary opportunity in a variety of ways for our students. And so our graduates take advantage of Virginia schools. In many opportunities, or in many cases, some of our students will go outside of the state, and they go as far away as New Jersey, New York. We have a young lady this year who enrolled in Alabama. And so some of our students, for specialized reasons, will choose to go outside of the state. But we have generally about 60 to 70% of our students who will choose formal post-secondary education, either in the form of a 2-year school or a community college system, or they'll decide to go immediately into a 4-year program. And the opportunities are there, again, based on personal choice, based on financial need, based on family tradition, that there are many choices for our graduates. And again, about 70% of our students choose one of those. Now, we also have a percentage or a segment of our student population, our graduates, that will choose to go into the workforce or will choose to go into post-secondary technical training. And with our career technical programs that we have at Gloucester High School, we are encouraging many of our students, if not all of our students, to pursue their industry certification before they graduate.
That's wonderful. And
whether it's culinary arts, electronics, agriculture, child development, business education, we have a comprehensive program that allows our graduates to get those industry certifications. And many of them are taking advantage of that. Out of a graduating class of 400 last year, we had 112 students to end up with their industry certification.
Congratulations,
and,
that's excellent.
So that's real good. Now, I will say that maybe some of those 112 were juniors, so that might not have.
Right.
But that's a priority as well, because we realize that children choose their post-secondary options for a variety of reasons, and if they choose to move into industry and the workforce, then we want them to still focus on continued learning. And as I tell my daughter, you'll never stop learning.
That's right. That's right.
Your formal and informal education will continue for the rest of your life.
Or at least it should.
It should.
That it should. Gloucester County is one of the member owners of WHRO. WHRO is owned by the school systems in this area, and I'd like to know, how does Gloucester schools, how do you benefit by being a member of WHRO?
Well, I will be very candid. When I first came to Gloucester in 2003, if somebody had asked me at that time what WHRO is, I probably would not have had a very good answer. Certainly, I've been very familiar with public broadcasting for years, but I became involved in the outreach efforts of WHRO and the consortium that we have with the superintendents in this area and the school districts and the partnerships. And it's been a real pleasure to be associated with that consortium, and in particular with WHRO. From the technology support that we garner as a regional effort with this entity, it's tough to put a dollar value to that, although I know WHRO does that. From the professional development that our staff benefits from, those are opportunities that our teachers and our support staff and others would have difficulty obtaining otherwise. And as I mentioned earlier, professional development is a significant cornerstone in our overall program. And so we look to WHRO for that sort of support. The instructional programming, the services that have been available for students, the resources that are provided through WHRO that come right into our classrooms and teachers use on a daily basis, you know, those are invaluable, and they add to the content that teachers deliver each day. It's just, it's very impressive with the resources and the opportunities that teachers have as a part of that. And from a personal standpoint, I've grown as a superintendent just with the connections and the conversations that I have on a regular basis with my friends and colleagues here at WHRO, and the opportunity that we have as superintendents to get together on a regular basis in this region. And that is beneficial in a variety of ways, because generally whenever I go to a meeting, I'm always going back and I'm pulling others into what I think I've learned at that meeting. And so I spread the wealth as much as I can. But the last area that we're intrigued about and maybe in some occasions confused about, how will technology influence learning over the next several years, and what should we be doing now in enabling children to expand their learning opportunities via technology? And so WHRO has or is coordinating a task force, if you will, to look at that very issue in terms of whether you call it virtual learning or online learning, or opportunities for children to learn content and to pick up credits in a non-traditional way. I know we're utilizing a resource that actually, through WHRO's consortium, we've been able to garner at a reasonable price, and that is a software program that provides students opportunities to obtain high school credit outside of the traditional classroom. And we're using that software and that resource in our alternative program. We're using it in our high school during the regular day for enrichment, enhancement, opportunities for children to recover credits that they may not have been able to obtain earlier. And so it's just been a great partnership for me as a relatively new superintendent. I mean, some of my colleagues have been partners with WHRO much longer than I have, but when I first started talking to staff in Gloucester County about WHRO early on, I was impressed with the energy and the enthusiasm and the support for what they were very familiar with at that time, and then over a few years I've learned to appreciate.
Excellent, excellent. So we provide an opportunity for you to get together with your counterparts in the other school divisions and really work toward a future together, which is it's a very different scenario than you have in most other places in the nation.
Absolutely. And what better entity than WHRO to lead us in that direction and to help us coordinate those conversations.
Great. Well, those are about all my questions. And if there's anything else you'd like to add, I would like to say thank you for coming and spending some time with us. And we certainly look forward to the future with you.
You're very welcome, Angie. I enjoyed it. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Sure thing. Thank you. Now it's time to recognize our Schools of the Month. In York County, second graders at Waller Hill Elementary are feeding the birds. This winter, the students are maintaining the feeders in front of their school. Parents donate bird feed for the school through Wild Birds Unlimited. For taking time to care for our feathered friends, we name Waller Mill our elementary School of the Month. In Williamsburg, James City County, students, faculty, and staff of Berkeley Middle School collected, signed, and addressed cards for the Red Cross Holiday Mail for Heroes campaign. Together, they mailed over 800 cards in support of the local Colonial Virginia chapter of the American Red Cross. For remembering those who serve our country, we salute Berkeley as our Middle School of the Month. Warwick High School in Newport News has two teams to celebrate. Their debate team, coached by Warwick Teacher of the Year Dion Gardner, received 9 awards at recent competitions. And at the 2009 Mid-Atlantic Model United Nations Conference, 15 Warwick students received awards. Those awards included Best Delegates, Outstanding Delegates, and Honorable Delegates. Our hats are off to these fine students at Warwick, our High School of the Month. At St. Gregory the Great, students are all about podcasting. The students are creating great virtual tours with Scratch software and sharing their thoughts on various topics, from New Year's resolutions to Nauticus to their first dance-a-thon. For using this new technology to help students express their thoughts, we congratulate St. Gregory the Great, our Independent School of the Month. We have several upcoming events to talk about this month. First, the 2009 Great Computer Challenge Senior Division will be held on Saturday, March 14th at Old Dominion University. This annual event is sponsored by WHRO, the Consortium for Interactive Instruction, and ODU. Past problems and solutions, as well as registration information, is available online at whro.org/CII/GCC. The deadline for registering your team is February 20th. Hope to see you at the GCC. Another challenging competition is scheduled for Friday, February 27th. The third annual Scrabble for Literacy tournament will be held at the Norfolk Cruise Terminal. School teams compete in the late afternoon. Online registration is available at the literacypartnership.org website. This program and all the links we talk about are available online at our website, schooltalk.org. Thanks for watching. See you next time on School Talk.